Greetings everyone. Electrical engineer, Igor Ekimov, is with you. Today we will look at the FNIRSI IR40 laser rangefinder. This is actually a laser tape measure that can quickly measure distances up to 40 meters and calculate areas and volumes based on the measurement results. There is also a Pythagorean measurement function that allows you to measure the length of an object without getting close to it. The advantage of this device compared to other rangefinders is its small size and the ability to communicate with an application on a smartphone via Bluetooth. In the application, you can remember all the measurements, sign them, and sketch out a plan of the object with these dimensions. You can also take a photo of the object and apply dimensions to it. I will talk about all this in this video. A link to the manufacturer of this device is in the description under the video. If you are interested in reviews of measuring instruments, then subscribe to the channel and press the bell. Also on the channel you will find interesting videos on electrical, plumbing and repair. Please support this video by liking and reposting. Here is our usual construction tape measure. But let's look at its shortcomings, because of which I ordered a laser rangefinder. Despite the fact that it costs an order of magnitude more than a tape measure. The most commonly used tape measure is 5 meters. I'm holding it in my hands. The largest tape measure with metal tape that I have seen is 10 meters. Large distances can be measured either by repeated measurements with such a tape measure, or a rag tape measure is used, which tends to stretch over time, after which it cannot be trusted. The rangefinder measures distances up to 40 meters in a couple of seconds. Plus, when measuring long distances, 2 people are usually required, and this is not always convenient. It is also difficult to use a tape measure at a height. For example, to measure the distance from the chandelier to the wall in order to center the chandelier. This requires another person with an additional stepladder. The rangefinder can be operated by one person. Another drawback is the mechanical wear of the tape measure. This hook comes off. The latch breaks, the numbers on the tape are erased, and the device for returning the tape to the roulette gets stuck. Another problem is that it is difficult to accurately measure internal surfaces. In this case, you have to bend the tape and seeing the exact value of the distance is problematic. Laser roulette also does not have these problems. Most often, I have encountered such rangefinders among interior designers, window and furniture measurers, foremen and construction supervisors. In just a few minutes, the designers took measurements of the entire apartment, which is impossible when measuring with a regular tape measure. I think that such a device will be useful to any builder or home handyman, as it simplifies the process of measuring distances. The rangefinder is more convenient in the vast majority of cases than a regular tape measure. The rangefinder comes in such a beautiful package, so to speak, a gift option. However, all FNIRSI devices have beautiful packaging. Below are the characteristics of the device. You can stop the videos and read them. There are instructions inside in English and Chinese. The device is quite easy to use, and I will tell you in accessible language how to use it. Here is the device itself. The front panel is covered with a protective sticker. We're filming it. There is a charging cord inside the package. It has a USB connector on one side, and can be connected to any port or 5-volt power source. On the other hand, it is connected by a Type-C connector, which connects to the rangefinder. This is where the cord connects. When charging, the red indicator lights up here. Here is a reminder that when working with the device, you need to avoid getting the laser beam into your eyes. Long press the round button and turn on the device. The same button can be used to switch operating modes of the device. By holding the rectangular button for a long time, you can turn off the device. Briefly press to cancel the last measurement. At the front there is the laser itself and a photocell for measuring the distance to the object. On the other side there is a hole. If the device freezes, you can use a toothpick to restart the device. There is a corrugated, non-slip surface at the bottom. which makes it more comfortable to hold the device in your hand. On top is the display. Moreover, depending on the position of the device, the readings on the display can unfold. At the top right is an icon that shows that the measurement is taken from the trailing edge, that is, from here. By briefly pressing the square button twice, we switch to the metering mode from the leading edge, that is, from here. I find it more convenient to measure from the back edge. I return the device to its previous mode by double pressing. With a short double press on the round button, we can turn on the measurement mode in feet or inches. I'm returning my usual meters. We look at the display. This is the position at which the measurements directly take place. There are 3 more positions. This is stack memory to store the last 3 measurements. If you want more saved measurements, you need to connect the RangeFinder to the application, but more on that later. The measurement takes place in 2 stages. Briefly press the round button and the laser turns on. We direct it at the object to which we want to measure the distance. When pressed a second time, the distance is recorded on the screen. Our RangeFinder showed 152 millimeters. This is the distance from the trailing edge of the RangeFinder to the surface. So I recorded 20 centimeters. We check with the RangeFinder. Here we have exactly 20 centimeters. Let's see the spread. As you can see, the spread is around 2 millimeters, and the permissible deviation of this RangeFinder is 2 millimeters. That is, we enter the error. And it is quite possible that this error could have been due to the fact that I could move the RangeFinder itself. Here I press the rectangular button, and we see that the last value has been cancelled. After cancellation, we can measure again. If I hold the round button for a long time, we go into the mode for measuring the area in square meters. First we measure the length, then the width, and the device shows us the area in square meters. Again, hold the round button for a long time, and go to the volume measurement mode. We measure the length, we measure the width, we measure the height, and the device shows us the volume in cubic meters. Again, hold down the button for a long time, and get into the Pythagorean measurements mode. The method is based on knowledge of the Pythagorean theorem. It allows you to measure the length of an object without approaching it. I do not recommend using this mode, since, as a rule, it gives approximate readings. The reason is that these measurements are based on a right triangle calculation. But it's precisely this right angle that's problematic. It is difficult to check by eye that the angle is 90 degrees. In reality, even in new buildings, a 90-degree angle between walls is not always maintained. The plasterers who are preparing the walls for the installation of corner kitchens will not let me lie. So, if you want accurate measurements, then it is better to measure the distance not remotely, but by directly measuring the object. That is, how does this mode work? First, we measure one leg of the triangle. Then we measure the hypotenuse. And as a result we get the size of the second leg. But I remind you that in order to have an exact size, you must strictly adhere to the 90-degree angle. This device has 2 more modes of Pythagorean measurements. We measure one side of the triangle. Measure the height of the triangle. We measure the second side of the triangle. And as a result we get the third side of the triangle. There is one more mode. It is similar to the previous regime. The most interesting functions are revealed if you install the RangeFinder application from FNIRSI on your smartphone. This can be done using a QR code on the sales page. The link to it is in the description. You can also find this application in Google Play or Apple Store search. Installing the application is easy. All measurements will be automatically displayed in the application. Here you see the application itself from the inside. Here I am taking a measurement. The readings were immediately transferred to the application. So I take another measurement. I switched to area measurement mode. Here I am taking 2 readings. And our area was transferred directly to the application. And the length and width were also transferred. You can do the same with volume. I can rename the readings. Click on the pencil. Let it be the length. Let it be the width. So I renamed our measurements. Here we press the arrow below. We can switch to continuous metering mode. I press it, and my rangefinder constantly takes readings, every half a second. So I move the rangefinder, and every time it shows new readings. We can remember these readings. We press Save Data, and we remember this measurement. We turn it off, and we have 2 new measurements. These are exactly the measurements that I remembered last. What else is possible here? You can turn on the calculator. And now let's add up the last 2 readings. We take the first reading and add it to the second. We can also subtract. Thus, we can calculate the length of the wire that we need. Let's exit this mode. And also look at the drawing mode. Picture drawing mode. Here I drew. These are the dimensions of the window. And plan drawing mode. Here we take this cross and move it to the place we need. Select the rectangle drawing mode. Here we draw a rectangle. We can put dimensions into this rectangle. Select it by clicking on it. And we can either put it in the latest size or measure it again. So I put down 1 size. And put down the second size. And I got this rectangle. You can also draw lines. Select and set the size. This is the same way you can draw on a photograph. Let's exit this mode. And all our latest pictures were remembered on the Draw tab. I would like to point out that you cannot draw normal plans in this application. Therefore, in this application we make a sketch, and then transfer it to a real plan. This device can be calibrated if necessary. To do this, turn off the device. First, we press the rectangular button, then, without releasing it, the round button and wait. And we turn on the reading adjustment mode. We can reduce it, increase it, but we will leave it unchanged. To exit this mode, hold down the round button for a long time. And we go into measurement mode. The screen rotation mode can also be disabled if desired. Turn off the device. Long press the round button. When you turn on the device, continue to hold. And now we can turn the screen auto rotate on and off. I leave it because it is the most convenient for me. Long press the round button and exit this mode. I would like to note that for accurate measurements, a number of conditions must be met. The air temperature should be from 0 to 40 degrees. The laser beam must not be directed at a reflective surface. The beam should not be interfered with by foreign objects. The laser beam must not pass through glass. Measurements should not be taken in bright light. If you need to measure something on the street, it is better to do it at dusk, so that there is no illumination of the photocell. This concludes the review of the device. This is such a simple and necessary device. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments. If you are interested in such videos, subscribe to the channel and press the bell. Special thanks to those who support the channel financially. I look forward to your likes and reposts, and see you in new and old videos.